came back again.
Yes, we are going to finish off this series of how to avoid having a shouldy holiday season. Yeah,
which is not a swear word. He's saying should, SHOULD, right?
Why?
Why is that word such a problem?
Because it really, what it does, the word should is very appropriate when something is truly a moral issue. I should be doing something, or I should not be doing something. It's truly a moral category.
Right.
However, if it's not, it's very demanding. Mm-hmm. It's very toxic. Mm-hmm. And so a should is an obligation now. I'm placing an obligation on you. You are obliged to meet my expectations. And if you're not, now this is a moral issue. A lot of times they aren't. And when we live in these shoulds, and I've seen it in my life, I've seen it in the lives of clients, our lives are really hindered is like a gross understatement. It can absolutely destroy our lives when we live in false guilt, false shame, comprised of false should.
Right. So it's not just hampering us. It's like, it can be devastating.
Absolutely.
The impact, right?
Yeah.
And the reason we're talking about shoulds, so what you were just saying is profound, because you were saying when we use the word should with others, now we're obligated. They're obligated to us. Right? Well, we do this to ourselves too, all day, every day. So Don Miguel Ruiz wrote The 4 Agreements, and this is part 4 of 4. We've been going through this book, and each of the 4 agreements today we'll go over the 4th one. Mm-hmm. Pretty exciting. So the author of this book, which came out in 1997, he talks about how we all have a judge that lives sort of in our mind that's constantly using the should word with us, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You should have said that better. You should have done that better. You shouldn't be doing this or that or the other thing. You should look better. You should, right? Just whatever it is.
Right.
It's just nonstop, and it creates so much suffering. So much suffering, mm-hmm. right? So the 4 agreements, basically the why of why should we have 4 agreements, right? Yeah. Is this, he's basically saying this might help. That these 4 agreements might help.
And they do help. Mm-hmm. And I think, I don't want to oversimplify the book, but I think it helps because it eliminates this toxic should, mm-hmm. and it eliminates the this egocentric mentality.
Yes.
That everything is about me. What do people mm-hmm. say? How life goes around me, things mm-hmm. that happen, things that don't happen. Mm-hmm. It's all about me.
Right. What other people think, what other people feel.
Yeah. So if we can get beyond ourselves.
Yes.
And one of the ways of doing that is getting beyond all these toxic shoulds.
Yes.
And live by these 4 agreements. Our quality of life can go up significantly. Our relationships can be impacted positively.
Yep.
And as we're talking, our holidays, we can avoid a shouldy holiday, and mm-hmm. we can have a very peaceful, serene, comfortable, less stressful holiday season.
Right. Exactly. So really quick recap, the first 3 agreements. The first one, be impeccable with your word. Mm-hmm. That means the words you say about yourself, about other people. Impeccable means without sin. Sin means to miss the mark. Mm-hmm. So tell the truth about yourself, which is that you're good enough, mm-hmm. right? You still have worth. You still have worth. So you don't have to be like, I'm the best this, I'm the best that. It's not about being the best. It's about, I'm just good enough, just me, being me. Yeah. So I'm going to tell the truth about myself, to myself, mm-hmm. and to others. Mm-hmm. And that will eliminate quite a bit of suffering. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. Right?
Why did you point at me when you said that?
Yes, we got to.
You did. You were pointing at me when you said it. I literally
was pointing at you.
That was hilarious.
So I had to. A finger gun.
Yeah, I had to run with that. Sorry.
Stick it up. Why are you pointing at me? Take nothing. Don't take things personally. Yes. Was it take nothing personally or something like that?
Sure.
Because basically, what other people say and do is about them. Mm-hmm. If you take it personally, you're making it about you, which isn't a thing.
It's not the case.
That's not the case. It's just not true. So again, mm-hmm. just going with the truth, right?
Right.
And then the third agreement is make no assumptions, right? I assume?
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah.
Yes. And we just realized, the holidays are chock full of assumptions we make about ourselves, we make about other people, family members, why they do things, why they don't do things, and about the way life should be. All sorts of assumptions around, this holiday season.
Right. Exactly. So now, drum roll, please.
Oh, boy.
The fourth agreement, always do your best. Always do your best. So it's about the action of the first three. So under any circumstance, always do your best no matter what. And you don't have to do more than your best, and you don't have to do less than your best.
Well, good. Because I don't know how I would do more than my best, because my best is like tapped out. Like that's the best I can do.
That's a great point. And I think that part comes to an expectation, right? That we might hold ourselves to a certain standard of we don't even acknowledge when we're doing our best. We're like, no, it's not enough. Yeah. It's another assumption.
How crazy and unfair is that? Like, if this is my best, why do I expect and place an expectation on myself to do better? I don't have any capacity for better than my best.
And also, what does that even mean? Right? Yeah. So I love this point. So again, Don Miguel Ruiz quote, everything is alive and changing all the time. So your best will sometimes be high quality and other times it will not be as good. When you wake up refreshed and energized in the morning, your best will be better than when you are tired at night. Your best will be different when you're healthy as opposed to sick, etc. So that's kind of helpful because if I'm super tired and burned out on a given day, my best might look like showing up.
Right. And I think just kind of this acceptance that this is my best.
Yes.
And just accept that. And it doesn't mean I even have to approve it.
Yep.
Because today, this is the best I've got. You know, I just don't have as much in the tank today. And I'm still giving my best. I'm giving it my all. And so I think a lot of times we think, but my performance is less than. So how can I be giving and saying I'm giving my best when my performance is considerably lower? My attitude is considerably offensive or whatever. It doesn't mean I'm not giving my best. I might be giving my best. And it may not look like it to other people.
Right.
It may not look like it to me. And just accept that, hey, I'm giving it my all.
Right.
And my all, it may not be the best I could ever do. It's the best I can do today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The best I can do today. I really like that. And this goes back to the judge that we were talking about a few minutes ago, because that critical voice in our minds that's always saying we're not enough, we needed to be doing more, or other people aren't enough, they need to be doing more, whatever it is. If we do our best, what is the judge going to have to say about that? Right? The judge is going to be like, oh, well, all right.
Yes.
Right? Because if I know I did my best, that's all there is to it.
Yes.
Right? There's nothing that I can be really criticized for.
And it's so freeing when we can rid ourselves of that judge. Yep. Yeah. I can't help, the pastor in me can't help but see the similarities with Christianity, because Christianity posits that this person, Jesus, took all of that you talked about, impeccable, like the word sin, took all that sin away. Yeah. So that God is no longer our judge. God is our friend, and saying, hey, I'm not holding this against you. And the idea is that's where freedom comes. That's where change happens. When there's no more judge holding this against you, that judgment's been all completely paid out. And Christianity posits that there is an adversary, that's what the word Satan means, the great accuser. That's always accusing. So there's that judge and how toxic that can be. And so I just can't help but notice what he's talking about, what psychology talks about, and what Christianity about. There's a lot of interface there that integrates well.
Yes.
I kind of like bursting, because this is where change happens.
Yes.
And change does not happen by condemning ourselves. Change does not, but it's interesting. That's where we start a lot of times.
Right.
In order to become acceptable, I first must change. And instead of realizing, no, I have to start with a place of acceptance, that I am of worth, that I am acceptable somehow.
Yep.
Now I can change.
Yep.
And now I can improve. And that's what I really appreciate about his book and these principles. And so that applies not only to me, I think, but also interpersonally with other people that we talked about at the end last time. People are doing the best that they can. So I'm doing the best I can. Other people are doing the best they can.
Right.
Wow. That's challenging. Because a lot of times, I don't know about you, I look at people and I'm thinking they're clearly not doing the best they can.
Oh, yeah. I've thought that a time or two.
Yeah, just ask my kids, okay? They're like, Dad, you're like the most impatient person, especially like when you're at lunch. And it's true. Okay. I am so impatient. And I have a very, let's say, high standard for customer service. So when I'm having to wait a long time and I'm looking and I'm seeing like I need food quickly or something, or I need some customer service quickly, and the person is just kind of loafing and they're talking to somebody else.
Oh, yes. And they're like they're just like not bothered at all by the fact that someone's standing there like ready to order. Yeah. And they're just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm kind of having this conversation over here. Yeah. Yeah.
How in the world is that person doing the best that he or she can right then? You know, it's like, I concluded that they're not. But you know what? Again, kind of like we talked about last time, I think erroneously, what is wrong with him, or what is wrong with her? What's their problem?
Right.
Instead of thinking, I wonder what's going on for them today. And when I do that, I'm kind of pivoting towards they're doing the best they can today. Right now, they're doing the best they can. And there's probably lots of reasons why they are this way. Yes. And there are lots of reasons. I'm just not choosing to look at that. I'm making the center of their universe, again, kind of like what he alludes to. It's all about me.
I was just thinking, actually, a situation recently happened to me where I came to check in for an appointment at a salon. Yeah. And the person in front of me was making an appointment for their next service or whatever. And I kid you not, it felt like it was taking 25 minutes because I don't know if the person who was making the appointment could see behind that someone was waiting, but it was like, oh, let me check this week. And oh, you know what? That's not going to work because I have a baby shower. And, you know, and it was just this whole thing. And I was fuming.
Yes. Yeah. Have you ever seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Steve Martin's at the airport, you know, and the lady's talking on the phone forever. Yeah. Oh, that captures exactly how we feel.
So relatable, right? So then what I noticed is after that whole thing and I finally got checked in, I started judging myself about how much how angry it got me. Because then I was like, why are you letting that get you workshop? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I bet that helped.
Exactly. So what I was thinking was, okay, how can I apply always do your best to this situation? And I thought, I was doing my best to be patient. And it didn't happen for me.
Yes. Yes.
But again, how could I apply always do your best? Because I got there on time. I was on time I was early for my appointment.
Second. Oh my.
I was early. And that was why it was also bothering me. Because I was like, I got here early.
Right. And I can't believe these people conspired against you like this.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I took it personally. I was like, they don't care. They don't want my business. Right. Yes. And I was worried that my person who I had the appointment with, I was worried she was going to think I was late because it was taking so long to check. So again, there was all these just different assumptions and taking it personally going on. But I did my best to get there on time and show up. And what more can you do?
Did all you could.
Yes.
And you you just identified some of the reasons why in that particular day, and there were probably many other reasons, why it was really hard for you to be patient. And it's interesting because, some days I am incredibly impatient. Yep. And some days I'm incredibly patient.
Same.
And what's the difference? The difference is usually some vulnerabilities going on in my life. If I'm running late or if I'm stressed or if I have a headache or whatever, I am far less patient.
Yep.
And so let's say I'm tired, I've got a headache, I'm running behind, and people are depending on me to get something done by a certain time. Whoa, have all these vulnerabilities, and I'm going to be far less patient, really intolerant.
Yep.
Why? Because of all those understandable factors. And it's understandable. It's not acceptable. I'm not saying it's acceptable. It's very understandable. And I am doing the best I can. And I mean, because believe me, I could show you what not doing the best I can could look like. And that would look really ugly. Whereas other days, I don't have any of those vulnerabilities. And it's I can do so much better. I can, quote, perform a lot better.
Yep.
Because I don't have those vulnerabilities. And so what I do is what we do is we compare. That time I'm so much better. Why am I so upset now? And we assume I'm obviously not doing the best I can because I'm not performing at that same level.
You pointed out such a great thing, because I was just thinking, how about all the other times when this has happened to me and I've been so patient and like gracious? Do I give myself credit for that? Absolutely not. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
Because I was like, I've been to many appointments or many situations, maybe a restaurant or whatever, where I've had poor service or I've had to wait in line, or it's just been not great experience. And I've laughed it off. I've been like, you know what? It's fine. It happens to the best of us. Right. But I'm not remembering those examples. No. Instead, I'm, again, this is how the judge works. The judge is always after you for what you're not doing enough of or whatever. But it's
you're only as good as your last mistake.
Yes, right. But instead, I can look back at, like, again, the laundry list of times that I handled it perfectly, right? That I just was the dream customer who's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So
that's an excellent point. And I think part of that, too, is because it comes so easily and naturally all those other times.
Yes.
It's like,
I wasn't feeling like it was a big burden to do that, right?
What kind of accomplishment is that? It was easy. But it is incredibly hard when we have all these other vulnerabilities and stressors going on. Yep. And so instead of validating that I'm still really trying and trying to do the best I can,
right?
We just sort of invalidate all those understandable vulnerabilities, characterize ourselves only in the negative, that I am only as good as my last mistake, rather than I'm doing the best I can. Now, it feels like, I think what people struggle with is it feels like, I'm just letting myself off the hook. Like, this is excusable.
That's what the judge wants you to think. You're just letting yourself off the hook.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Why aren't you you should be more responsible, right? There's the shoulds.
Right.
And I think what I like to tag on to this is, it is part of, in dialectical behavioral therapy, some of the assumptions we have. One is that everybody is doing the best they can, and we can all try harder.
Yeah.
And that I think is a nice balance again.
I like that.
And people use this sometimes. I think sometimes we're reticent to accept this, that I'm doing the best I can, or that other people are doing the best they can, because that's sort of our get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
It's like we call people to do better, and they'll say, well, I'm doing the best I can. And it's like, how do you object to that? And so that's their get out of jail free card. You can't hold me accountable because I'm doing the best I can.
Right.
And I want to try to validate that response and say, yeah, you know what? I think you are. You are doing the best you can. You really are. And I'm doing the best I can. And that's a great starting point, leading with validation.
Yep.
But it doesn't end with a period. I'm doing the best I can, period. It's I'm doing the best I can, comma, and I could do better, and you could do better. And so if you have like parents, if you have a teenager that says, well, I'm doing the best I can, you validate and say, yeah, you are. You're doing the best you can.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we can all agree you can do better. And it's a nice balance. I think it makes this pill a little easier to swallow. Yeah, because it's not like we're saying my behavior is approvable or acceptable right now or excusable. It just means that, I am doing the best I can. It's not great. And we're doing the best I can.
Exactly. I want to point out, too, a word that's important. A key word in this agreement is do. Always do your best. So one of the things about this last agreement is it's the action agreement, right? So the first three are more about kind of the way we think about things, the way we look at things, right? Yeah. This is about you have to actually take action, right? It's not always think your best, always feel your best. It's do your best. So inherently in there is you have to take action. So I like that because I think a lot of times, and I do this too, I'll be discouraged with a situation or something, and it's like I'm just stuck in that. And it's like I haven't identified, well, what am I going to do about it? Right? It's like, what do you want to do about it?
I really resonate with that. Yes.
Yeah, right. So I think that's another thing to take away from it is it's like there is a lot we can do with our time and energy. Let's make sure we're doing something and then do your best.
Yeah, and I think just notice how empowering that is too. I think we talk about the word should and how toxic it can be, and I think it's disempowering to us when we should like this. And like what you just said there about, so what do you want to do about this? Or what can I do about this? Just we've eliminated the shoulds, and now we're empowering ourselves with that question. So what do I want to do about this? What can I do about it? And I do this a lot with clients, and they'll come in and they'll be frustrated about something, and I'll validate their frustration, and yet they're feeling very powerless. And so I'll just say, well, tell me, what do you think? Or no, I'll say, what do you want to do about this? And they'll say, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I'll say, understandably, you don't know what to do. So what do you think you want to do about it? And then suddenly they start thinking, and it's so empowering. To change our lives. That's what really resonates in this.
Yes. And I think another tip that helps me a lot is what could I do about this? Because I think the tendency is like, what should I do? Yeah. You know, and clients come in and it's a lot of like, what should I do? What do you think I should do? And it's like, well, what are some options? What could you do? Right? What's your list of available things, right? You could do nothing, you could, and you could really list. And then it's like, okay, from there, again, we're taking the judgment out of it. Doing nothing can still be a conscious choice.
Yes.
Right?
It's always an option.
Even if I do nothing about any given situation, I'm still consciously choosing that. I'm not just kind of passively like, avoiding it. Right? Right, because there are situations where not taking action is better. Right? Yeah. Like not confronting the person or not, whatever the conversation is. Maybe it's better to just wait a little while.
And when we keep things in that should category, what should I do? The options are very limiting. It's usually one thing that I should do. Whereas when we create options that it lowers the intensity of emotions, increases opportunities for action. And so when I have only one option, that's stressful because that's all I have. And so that raises anxiety and almost kind of a sense of paralysis too. Whereas like you're talking, if I can come up with 6 or 7 different options of how I'm going to respond, notice how empowering that is all of a sudden. I don't have just this one option because that's so disempowering. Now I can see, I take a step back. Wow, I've got like 7 different options. One of which is always, I can do nothing.
Yes.
And but I got 6 other options. And wow, that's super empowering when we, again, like you said, take it out of the should and what are all the options of what I could do?
Exactly. So how do you think we could apply this to our upcoming holiday season? If we're going to take, this is the action step. So always do your best. I know for me, I'll just kind of take an example is I try to, clarify expectations. And then from there, I'll try to do my best. So like with my family, when it comes to planning, let's say it's Christmas Day or it's a meal or whatever, what I am going to try to do my best at is just understand what I can do to help, understand the expectations of the day. And then from there, just do my best to execute those. Right. Yeah. But for me, it helps me to know kind of a game plan ahead of time. That helps me kind of with my do my best piece.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, very, very empowering. I think for me, a lot of it, even though there's so much I'm doing, the doing is usually predicated by my thinking. And
absolutely, yes.
So I need to be thinking as I go into the holidays that you know what, I'm doing the best I can. You know, like you talked, I think last time about, I might get sick during the holidays.
Right.
You're doing the best you can. You know, how many of us sort of get on ourselves because we're not at our best maybe during the holidays for whatever reason. But doesn't mean we're not doing the best we can. And just to choose to keep thinking, you know what, I'm doing the best I can. And to choose continually thinking, so-and-so, this person, everybody here is doing the best they can. And even when it doesn't look like it, and it looks like somebody is disengaged or not all in with the family or whatever, they're doing the best they can at that moment. And again, there's no scientific empirical research to say this is going to make your life better. And yet we know it does. It does. When we choose to go there, life does go better for us and for others.
Yep.
So those are a couple things, like how we think and what we do, that people are doing the best they can. I think also just adding on that doesn't mean people can't do better.
Right.
We're not excusing people's behavior.
Exactly.
And letting them off the hook.
Exactly.
And, like people will be mad if we say, well, they're doing the best they can. Well, what do you mean they're doing the best they can?
You're letting them off the hook.
Yeah. Terrible attitude. It's affecting everybody around us. You know, they're ruining the holiday.
They need to do better.
Yeah. Then you can first say, well, that sounds like a you problem. Because it is.
It is. Yes.
It is about that person. And also we're not saying that their behavior is acceptable. We're saying it's understandable. It's understandable. It may not be acceptable. And you know what? They could do better.
Yep.
Because we can all do better.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that they're not doing the best they can right now.
Right.
So I think just having that balance of in our own mind and towards other people. I am regularly going to think about myself and others as doing the best I can, doing the best they can, and about myself and others. I can do better.
Yep. Actually, so here's a tidbit that can apply to the whole series that we've just done.
Great.
The first 3 agreements will only work if you do your best.
Yes.
Don't expect that you will always be able to be impeccable with your word. Your routine habits are too strong and firmly rooted in your mind, but you can do your best. Don't expect that you will never take anything personally. Just do your best. Don't expect that you will never make another assumption. But you can certainly do your best. So even with these concepts, just try them on. What do you have to lose, right? What do you have to lose by applying 1 or 2 of these things just for a week or a day or an hour, right?
Well, I can answer that question.
Go ahead.
What you can lose.
Go ahead.
You can lose out on having a shitty holiday.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot that we want to lose and get rid of. And again, inherent everything you said there is we're getting rid of all of those shoulds.
Right.
And we're embracing, I think, more of truth.
Yep.
Rather than the falsity that's inherent in all those shoulds we place on ourselves and others, and about the way things should be especially during the holiday season. So
yes,
I'm really glad we did this series. I think
me too.
I know for me, it's really empowering, and our heart's desire truly, because it is our company's mission statement, but it resonates with us. It's a value that by embracing these 4 agreements, we are empowering people to have the best version and become the best version of themselves, and thereby avoid a shitty holiday season.
Agreed. I have one more question for you.
Oh, yes.
Do you think we did our best with this series?
I think you should have done better. And
no.
But that's
an issue.
That's an issue. Very good. Yeah, that would be all about me and not about you. I do know this. I know it's been a lot of fun.
It has.
As it always is.
It's
joyous, and we're not just saying that.
We're not.
We get paid either way. So, and I do know, our real heart's desire We appreciate people listening.
Yes.
And we're not getting rich off of this, but our lives are enriched because we're just kind of one beggar telling another beggar where to get bread. We're not, we don't have the corner on the truth market because we're so advanced. It's just, these are things we've tried. These are things we've learned. These are things we apply in therapy, and really are excited to share that with anybody and everybody that's listening. So we encourage you, if this has been of benefit to you, any of these podcasts, please share it with other people. We think we're scratching the itch and believing that people's lives are becoming enriched and empowered, and hopefully also making therapy a real approachable idea and notion for others.
Well done. Have a safe and happy holiday season, everyone.
Thank you as always for listening, and please be sure to leave us a review. While this podcast can't be a replacement for therapy, we hope you enjoyed our discussion today and join us again next time. Nystrom & Associates is always available to those who are struggling. If you find yourself in need of support and help, please check us out at nystromcounseling.com.